Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching. We've got both hosts today after a solo dolo show last week for myself and then for Justin as well. I guess I wasn't flying totally solo, rocking with George Gansner, the man, the myth, the legend for the midweek one, and then Justin, you won the recap. But yeah, we have the full partnership here together today. It's good to be back.
It feels good to be back, Jake. I had to do the recap for the Cincy game, which was obviously not a lot to talk about. So doing that by yourself, I think I got through the game highlights in like 18 minutes. I'm like, all right, buddy, slow up. Now we got to talk about our crappy bets and predictions and get comments going. So that was tough.
Speak for yourself on the crappy bets.
Okay, I gave you credit. I gave you credit.
Yeah, you did. All right. Well, we've got the Seattle preview today. Thank God. No recap preview, no preview recap, just a preview. We've got just one team to focus on this week. It is Wednesday, time of recording, and we are looking ahead to Seattle, a home match here at City Park on the weekend. And before we get into the preview, though, just a couple quick bits for you all. One, did you catch that Tom Bogert interview? We were able to catch up with the MLS insider transfer guru, the one that is the first to break almost everything in the MLS when it comes to transfers and really just big news in general. This is the guy that you want to speak to, and we had him on the show. If you all have not listened to that yet, make sure you go check it out. It'll be both available on YouTube and on podcast form. Tom Bogert, writer for The Athletic, MLSsoccer.com writer. He has written for years now, all about the MLS kind of soccer landscape. And he's the first to break almost every bit of transfer news. Justin, it was such a fun time talking to him.
Jake, once we wrapped up, I know I mentioned it to Tom, and then I texted a bunch of people. I'm like, that guy is the most chill dude. Like, with such a stressful job. When you get into it, you're like, how's like being a writer for them less stressful? Listen to this guy's day to day. He still gets it done, and he still does it with a smile on his face. Incredible human.
Yeah, we are very pro Tom on this show, especially now after having spoken to him. And, if you guys like it, it's something we can try to do again, especially if we can show him your all's love. I know that we all love when he brings us good news, especially. If you want
to hear what's going on with the Royce situation, what else City's looking at, and what's going on, this is the guy that literally feeds us that information, and we talk to him about it. It's only 25 minutes, too.
It was super cool. Super, super cool. So, Tom, if you're listening, shout out to you. You are great. Thank you for taking the time to do that with us. And again, we'd love to have you back on. So go check that out if you haven't yet. That will be a nice little that'll wet your whistle on the transfer rumors as we head into the summer, especially those for St. Louis City. Power rankings wise for this team, we moved from 17 down to 18, which is a bunch of nothing. Do not care. Injuries wise, we are still only, I think, nursing one injury as of Tuesday, which is just Yarrow. So Yarrow is still remaining out with a hamstring. Obviously, we did a lot of rotation last week. I think that's more proactive in trying to manage those injuries as they kind of built up, especially at the beginning of this season and last season as well. So we're fortunate on that side of things, but we've got quite a task ahead of us here, Justin, with Seattle. And people are going to tell you, well, Seattle's been crappy this year and they haven't returned to their former glory. But I look at our history, our short history as a club, and yeah, the Seattle history you're going to take us through, Justin. But for me, do we really have a marquee win against a pretty historical program? Now, I'm going to caveat, I know the Cincinnati one counts. I'm not taking that away from us from last year where we just trounced them here at City Park. But we are yet to knock off LAFC. We are yet to knock off Seattle, who I kind of picture as, when you look at the West, those are kind of the poster boys for the West. So you got to do it at some point. And I feel like we keep saying it, Justin, it's a good time to hit some of these teams. They're, still kind of reeling from that start to the season. Can this be the time for us this weekend?
I think it absolutely can be, and I really hope that it's different than last year. 2 games last year against Seattle, both losses. The first one, 3-0, excuse me, at Seattle. All 3 goals coming in the second half. That was a trend for us last year. In the 65th minute, absolute banger, was the goal of the week from like 30 out. You guys remember it, upper 90 on Roman Berkey. Roman just throws his hands up like, what was I supposed to do about that? 6 minutes later, something Roman should have done something about. It's that knee-high cross that he came out and dove at the 6, slips through his hand for a tap-in. And then ending with a Nerwinski own goal of a corner. Then we come back home. We're like, all right, maybe we can actually get one. Unfortunately, though, we clinched the first place in the playoffs, or clinched that for in the playoffs went to Vancouver with the B squad, lost 3-0, and then came home to Seattle, lost a bunch of mojo, lost that game 2-0. They had a great team goal in the 23rd that ended up being a cutback to the top of the 18 and a finish in the corner. And then in the 38th minute, the own goal from Tim Parker, a disgusting one, a slide to try to make a block across on the literally the end line, and it tips off top of his leg up over Roman into the side netting on the far post. But all that to say, Jake, something to really focus on, we've yet to score against Seattle. We lost 3-0 and 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, and you echo my point. People are going to say, well, Portland's a big team, and yeah, we beat in Portland. I do feel like we tend to do our business against the mid to lower table, which you definitely should do. But I do want to see this team start to confront some of the known sort of giants in the league. And I'm not saying Seattle's a giant at this moment, but I mean, it's hard to mention the MLS and its history without mentioning Seattle Sounders. So wherever they are on the table, I don't care. It'd be great to welcome them to St. Louis with a fat W for City.
Quick throwback. Maybe the coolest jersey I can remember growing up, the Xbox across the Seattle lime green. Like these guys have been around for so long. And one of the guys that's been there for a very long time, that is Jordan Morris. We'll talk about him as well. But it's a very historic franchise. So like Jake said, like they're currently sitting 10th right behind us, only 2 points behind us. So when Jake says we got to take care of business, one, Seattle historically is an incredible team. You also need to beat the teams you need to beat. And I think anybody that's below you is a team you need to beat, and we need to do that this weekend.
Agreed, especially at home. We talk about justifying away draws. You got to get the business done at home if you're going to speak that. So some off-season moves for the Sounders. They brought in an exciting Argentinian 23-year-old youth international, Pedro de la Vega, arrived from Lanús for one of the largest transfer fees in their club history. He's a young designated player for them, and he's bringing 17 goals and 14 assists and 127 all-competition appearances to Seattle. Hasn't hit the heights, I think, yet for them, but they are expecting him to get there. Danny Musovski is an MLS kind of viable striker option they brought in to kind of back up or supplement some of the goals from Jordan Morris and Raul Ruidiaz as well. So those are probably the two biggest ones they brought in, obviously both on the attacking front. They're pretty solid defensively. Outgoing, they are rid of Hebert. They had high hopes with him when they acquired him from New York City ahead of the 2023 season. Didn't hit the heights. He's a Brazilian striker. He scored just twice in those 22 games. But the big one, and Justin, we talk about, again, history and Seattle. It's hard to mention all those things without Nico Ladero. He is a Uruguayan, amazing playmaker. They're number 10. And instead of, seeing him off and maybe tying him down to like a year deal and having that, proper departure, he actually went and signed for Orlando City. He tallied 41 goals, 80 assists in 191 matches for Seattle. So he's a legend of the club. It's a bummer that the Uruguayan had to go like that.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at those stats, 41 goals and 80 assists in 191 appearances or matches in total, that is absolutely insane. When you think about that output, that's what, a goal every 5 games, that's a little less, but 80 assists in that time period. I mean, between the both of them, he's scoring or assisting in over half of their games. So that is a pretty big loss for them moving to Orlando City. But looking forward to what has this team done since those players have left or have now come in. Their record is 3-6-5, a win-loss draw. They're 10th in the West, like I said, just behind us with 14 points. Their home record is just 1-1-4, and their away record is 2-5-1. So a team that you would kind of think would be doing a little bit better, knowing their history and knowing some of the players they have, which we'll come in to talk about. But they've only scored 16 goals so far in all of their games, 7th worst in the MLS, but they've only given up 17 against, which is 10th best in the MLS. So sitting around that kind of almost even goal differential, and that's why they're 10th right now.
Right. And some notable results from this year that we've captured is a 0-0 draw versus Austin, who is now 3rd in the West. People were talking a lot of crap on Austin, including us, to begin the season, but they're clicking now. And that just goes to tell you, however you start, it doesn't matter. It's how you finish and how you find your form, and you just got to maintain it. That's how the best team goes on to win. They have a 2-0 loss at RSL. Obviously, RSL has fared very well so far in the West this year. We know that firsthand, as they now sit 1st in the West. They have a 1-0 loss against the Galaxy and a 0-0 draw against them as well. So they've played them super tight. And then they have a draw against Vancouver, who's also acquitted themselves well over the course of the campaign so far. But One advantage we do have, Justin, going into this match is that they are playing midweek. They are playing tonight. Time of recording is Wednesday, May 22nd, against Phoenix Rising. So, just we'll see how they plan to rotate their squad. They're usually a team, I feel like, when I look back at history for US Open Cup, where they take it pretty seriously. I mean, it's a trophy on the line. So I wonder how heavy they go into rotation tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by that as well, because that's one of those things where we talked about it where last year, I mean, we never really went anywhere in the Open Cup or looking at Leagues Cup. But the teams that do go, once you get further into it, it gets even more and more serious, which then you keep your starting 11 pretty consistent, which just adds heavier legs. And this is not a young team. We'll kind of talk about that here in a second. So I am interested to see how much they rotate this and how much do you want to care about that. And I would say, as you've already seen in the Open Cup, you cannot downplay these non-MLS teams. The Phoenix Rising, they're going to treat this like it's their World Cup. And if you go out there and throw a B squad, they could get pummeled and slightly embarrassed. And that could be also a locker room hurt, not as much as just the results of like, oh, we don't really care about this Open Cup.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they've got some pretty good, star, I would say, level players that they're holding on to. Some of them getting into their latter part of their career, and some of them really getting the beginning of their career as well. So the first one that comes to mind for me, and especially this year right now, is Raul Ruidiaz, who is their striker. I know he made us pay last year specifically, but he is a Peruvian designated player for them. He's not the biggest of guys, but this is his 7th year in the MLS. All of them coming with the Sounders, formerly played in Liga MX prior to that. He's got 7 goals, 1 assist this season already, starting 11 of the 13 games they've played. 4th most shots in the MLS so far with 52. So a lot of their early season results, I know they haven't been phenomenal. They can probably thank Ruidiaz for a lot of the points they've been able to accumulate thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say one of the ones that you put in here, Jacob, like I should have probably known the name, but when I looked into him, pretty impressive. Well, Obed Vargas, he is a center mid, right winger, 18-year-old homegrown from Anchorage, Alaska. I had to dig into that. I'm like, how are you homegrown from Anchorage, Alaska? Moved to Seattle from Anchorage, joined Seattle Sounders Youth Academy, where he played 2 seasons before signing with the Tacoma Defiance, which there is now their MLS Next Pro team back in May of 2021. Then he made his MLS debut just 2 months later due to a lot of injuries with Seattle. It was just 4 days before his 16th birthday, and he became the 3rd youngest player in the MLS history. So right now, he has 1 goal and 2 assists, starting 10 of the 11 games he's played in. You're not expecting this guy as a center mid or right winger to be a goal and assist output guy, more of a guy that can help control the game in the midfield, and very impressive by an 18-year-old.
Yeah, at that age, it's incredible to see, and that contribution in minutes is great for his development. Jordan Morris, a lot of pride for our American, obviously has played in the World Cup, which is crazy. I know, Justin, you had some thoughts on that when that initially happened. But Jordan Morris, some people love him, some people hate him. He's 29-year-old, obviously American, raised in Seattle. He's a big fella at 6 foot, 185, 55 caps for the national team. I will say, to his credit, I'll never forget watching him play when he was still at Stanford and he got called up to the men's national team. He scored against Mexico. I believe it was a friendly, but that's a cool freaking story. And he's obviously went to Stanford as well. This is his 9th season with the Sounders. He's notched 55 goals, 26 assists, and 155 full 90s with them. This season, 2 goals, 1 assist, starting 13 of the 14 games played. I think a little bit of that having to do with him playing on either wing sometimes centrally as well. But Justin, stats, all that stuff is fun. But fun fact about Jordan Morris, what do we got, Justin?
He's a Soul Juice ambassador. How do you forget to leave that out? The only guy in the MLS that is currently a Soul Juice ambassador. One of a few. We're kind of a hand-selected bunch as of right now, as we're still growing with Luis, but very cool, and I'm very excited to see him come to St. Louis. And we'll get into one of the keys of the game, but I kind of looped in a little Soul Juice with it.
Yeah, you did. Well done. Some honorable mentions we didn't get to, but I think you might all find relevant, is one, Anuhu is their left back. I know that we had some trouble defending him in the past. He likes to get up the field, has great footwork. He will be suspended for this match with a red card from the last match. It's been pretty crucial for them so far this season, starting 12 of their 14 games. And then John Bell. People will probably, wait, John Bell, didn't we have him? Yes, we did have him last year. And then Seattle picked him up, I believe, in the re-entry draft over this past offseason. And he is, I'd say, some center back depth for them, but he's getting minutes, which is really cool.
And it's actually most recently, Jake. So he did not play in their most recent MLS regular season game versus Vancouver. However, the previous previous three, he started in 2 full 90s, and then the other one being an Open Cup, played 105 minutes versus Louisville. So it's not one of those things where like, oh, we're just going to add him and get some depth. He's actually getting minutes. I would kind of equate him to like probably like a Kyle Hebert of ours. Like when you're missing Nilsson or you're missing Parker, he's the guy that's going to step in and get the job done.
Absolutely. And they're missing two players through injury, two key players, I would say, in a left winger, Leo Chu, through mid-June with an abductor pull. He's still working his way back. And they're also missing central defensive midfielder, Joshua Atencio, after tweaking something in their Open Cup match against Louisville. So two key injuries, I would say, that probably hold them back at least slightly, but this is a deeper team.
You let that roll right off your tongue. Do you know what an adductor pull is?
Yeah, it was something it's something with the groin, right?
Yeah, I had to Google that. At first, I reread it like 3 times. I'm like, is it like abductor? I was very confused. I thought we had like a Josh Hart situation. Yes, crossover sports, whatever. I was so confused. I'd go to Google, which also stinks for him because he was literally just coming back in the starting rotation after a knee injury in March that had him out already another month. So kind of an injury pro dude.
Yeah, he is. And I know when they got him, I think it was last year, they had some high hopes for him to take some of the load off Ladero. That was last season, and just provides more creative spark and goal output. And I think, at least in the beginning, he was not hitting that level yet. But stylistically, from a head coach perspective, they are coached by Brian Schmetzer, who has been the head coach for them since 2016. And he likes to go and roll with typically a 4-2-3-1. Two guys we haven't mentioned, you still might have heard of, are João Paulo and Christian Roldan, who usually fill the roles of that 2 in front of the back 4. Both guys hold that midfield down, drive this team forward. They have great distribution. João Paulo is a beast, just a monster in the central midfield, can make some great tackles as well. I think when both those two are playing, they look to kind of hold on to the midfield and look to find a guy like Rusnak, who usually kind of plays in the 10, kind of ahead of them, who kind of tries to bring in the wingers and as well as some of the overlapping fullbacks. So this is a team that likes to get high on their fullbacks, create chances from them, get in the wide areas, and really use cutbacks and crosses to create danger in the box.
Yeah, I would say that it seems like the more we talk about the teams, it seems like a very attacking team and just underperforming from a finishing ability when you think about only 16 goals a game so far, but they do like to get a lot higher. I would say with them controlling the game in our half, look for a lot of shots. Raul Ruidiaz has the 4th most shots, as we've already mentioned, in the MLS with 52. That's even higher than Joao Klaus. So they like to rip some shots. He has 7 goals already. The rest of the team kind of falls off with Jordan Morris, I think, has 2, and a lot of other guys have 1. But this is a team that has, I would say, almost more of a wide range of attacking ability, and they're just kind of lacking that finishing ability at the end.
Yeah, talking about their attack generally on stats and some of the things we think you all might know is there's a lot of average when I look at their offense right now. And they have some bigger names, but they're not producing at the highest level. So they're producing, just about outside the top 10 in XG per 90 right now at 1.45. But they're actually, churning out goals at a clip of 1.14 per 90, which gets them into 6th last. So they're creating chances, but not finishing as well as they possibly can right now. Their away form, their XG is slightly worse, but still great in the scheme of things at 1.37 per 90, which is number 8 in the league. They're usually scoring away from home about every 80 or so minutes. When they tend to score these goals is about a third of them coming from the 11 to 20 minute time. So I changed this increment, Justin, from 15 down to 10 because I thought that stat was particularly really important. I mean, almost a third of their goals come in a 10-minute span from the 11th minute to the 20th minute. So I think something we got to pay attention to there. And about 20% of them come from the 81st to 90. So they have a spike right after they kind of settle into the match in that second 10 minutes. And they obviously have a spike as they go for it at the very end as well. So this is kind of when you tend to see this team come alive.
And this is kind of an insane stat. We talked about Raul Ruidiaz being number 4 in shots in total. The rest of the team really isn't shooting a lot as they're bottom 10 in shots, and they have the worst shots on target percentage as well. When you're looking into how their passes, they're number 6 in passes, number 4 in short passes. So they're one of those teams, you already talked about it, get it into the opposition's half and then kind of ping it around, move it quickly, see if you can find the gaps in the defense. I think it's going to be extremely important for us to make sure we're staying with runners and not ball watching.
Amen.
But I feel like we have, dude, I just feel like I hate that has been a word that we've used so frequently this year, because I do think that last year it wasn't as bad. Right now, I feel we're letting guys slip in behind us or slip right beside us or make a run in front of us. You could see it specifically with Denny Bwanga in the LAFC game, or with Tim Parker losing his man that then I think it was Yoko, and then skyrocketed into the top of the net, or even another other goal when we let Lucho Acosta get in behind us. There is a couple different times where we're just letting guys sneak in behind us, and we're just like, oh yeah, someone else will get him. It's like, no, that's not Roman Berkey's job. That's the back line's job. And I think that's going to be extremely important in this game to make sure that we're not just staring at them pass it in front of us.
No, great commentary. I 100,000% agree with that. When I look at open play versus set pieces, it's nothing too crazy in differentiation for them. They're top 10 in shots in both of those, open play and set pieces. So there's not one particular strength of theirs. You mentioned, Justin, their passing and their sequences. They do like to knock the ball around a lot. They have number 7 and 10 plus pass sequences. They like to cross a lot. They take the most crosses and corner kicks in the MLS right now. So that is something they like to use as an avenue to create danger. They're also a good team on the dribble. Number 5 in successful carries with the ball, and number 4 in carries into the final third. So they have good wingers that are capable of driving that ball up the field when passes aren't there. Defensively, this is when it gets a little bit more scary as you look ahead or down the barrel for this team. They are 1.28 expected goals against per 90, which is the 6th best in the league, and they are top 10 best for goals against per 90 at 1.21. So away from home, they remain pretty consistent, only allowing 1.39 expected goals against per game and allowing a goal every 55 or so minutes, which kind of reads like a lot. But I do think in the scheme of things, especially away from home, that's usually, actually I think better than most when you look at kind of the baseline.
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of take that and expand it out, you're looking at a goal, and then next game maybe 2, and then back down to 1, and then maybe 2. So it seems like it might be a lot every 55 minutes. Like, oh, it's 55 plus 55, it's close to 90. Once you add it out, it really does kind of expand for them. And so that's what we already talked about. They're a pretty strong defensive team. Average shots on target against their open play, top 10 best in XGA, and set pieces is their top 10 best in XGA as well. They're pretty average in tackles, mostly in the defensive and attacking third, but they're top 10 in build-up disruption percentage. Not much of a real press otherwise from them.
Yep. They've been backed by some good goalkeeping this year from Stefan Fry. Not over the top, but decent enough goalkeeping. And the last thing I'll say, their goals against tend to come on either side of halftime. The last 15 minutes of the first half and the first 15 minutes of the second half, about 60% of the goals against come in that 30-minute span. So that's something to keep an eye out for if you're a City fan. So to the game, Justin, for this game, as I look ahead, I think we've kind of downplayed it because it hasn't been, as great this year as it was last year. But I think there's a significant advantage coming back home to City Park, especially having been pretty much trounced by Cincinnati. Could have been worse, as the title said. But you got to, take that and really use it to your advantage because we have great fans, great atmosphere. Everyone's going to be behind. It'll be Seattle on a Saturday night. It's be rocking. Absolutely. So for the boys, I think it just let that wind catch those sails and let it drive you. Let it kind of influence that press and really, keep the heartbeat of the game. And I think it's such a hard thing. There's no stat for that. Yeah, we can track, home versus away and home points and stuff like that. But I really do feel like this is kind of an intangible advantage that we need to use at our disposal.
Absolutely. And I think you already mentioned it. Saturday, beautiful day, high of 81, completely sunny. Also, Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Get out and show support for City. If you are worried about kids are going to stay up late on a Saturday night, they don't have school on Monday, bring out the whole family. Bring them downtown. Let's see what we can get out of this. I would say the other thing I will say on this is we've already talked about it, defending 1v1 and in set pieces. Seattle's number 8 in dribbles per 90 and number 3 in crosses per 90. I'm still more concerned. I guess I am. I'm concerned about both of these. I've already mentioned the actual marking and watching guys in front of you and not ball watching. I mentioned it a couple different times on the Cincinnati recap. Our marking, especially on set pieces, has been pretty bad, where guys are just literally doing a full 180, like where did my man just go? And you cannot let that happen with this team. Jordan Morris will finish one with his noggin. He's a big dude, and if you lose him and don't get a body on him, he will put it away on Mr. Roman Berkey.
And I feel like you speak of Jordan Morris. We've done, and I think Berkey's mentioned as much, we haven't done a great job of nullifying some of the star players from these teams. We've had our brush against some of the star players recently with, Denny Bouanga, with Lucho Acosta. Raul Ruidiaz, how they have like broadcasts where like the camera follows just one player. Not that I'm saying we should 1-to-1 a man mark this guy, but he should not be given time and space. Everyone should have constantly a little bit of an eye towards Ruidiaz because he's one that just wreaks havoc and he makes the most of his chances. So we need to nullify the threat from him. For fans, This is going to be a tough game. Chance creation, it's not going to be free flowing for us at all times. And I could be shocked. I would love to be wrong there. But Seattle is, like I said, it's very defensively astute. They are a deep team defensively. They're number 2 in non-penalty expected goals allowed and top 10 in basically all their defensive expected goals against stats. So set pieces, counters, what have you. They do not make it easy for opponents to find chances. And I think for us, you're going to have to just create some luck in this one. You will get your couple of chances, but you can also force Seattle to go long more often or to really press them into forcing errors or giveaways or errant passes. This has got to be this game where we kind of get back to our last season, at least temporarily, just tap into it and just make the most of very little supply and chance.
Did you notice that I skipped over that NP XGA because I was not going to try to just like, a no problem goal expected goal against? Like, is that just like a roller to Roman Berkey's feet? I was not going to try to go with that. All that to say, Jake, we have 2 keys to the game. Yours, pretty simple when it comes to just saying it, but is it going to be simple on Saturday?
Just win, baby. That is the goal today. You just got to win. Like, there's nothing sexy about this game. There's nothing that we're going to find or talk about here that they're not already talking about right now. But you know what will shut a lot of people up on how the season's gone is just winning. Grabbing those 3 points. I don't care if it's the ugliest game of all time. You win here, get some momentum back in our sails, get 3 points at City Park. We're rolling again.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say I have a more specific goal, but I could not agree more. If you would told me that we were going to start the season we're 13 games in now and we have 3 wins. I mean, we're lucky we have 7 ties to still be technically in a playoff spot in the 9th, but you got to get points. We got to pick them up where it matters. My goal of the game first is for us to score. We need to score first is what I love having that at home. I'm kind of doing away with the over 1.5 at home. Like I don't think we even need to score 2 goals. I think with Roman Berkey in the back and this team not actually finishing goals, if we score first, we could have this be a flood again, but we need to let that happen. Not let the win get taken out of our sails with an early goal from them already having, what'd you say, like 31% of their goals come in literally from the 11th to the 20th minute. Do not let them score during that time period. My second quick goal, Jordan Morris, bring a soul juice out on the field. Show the guys on our team what soul juice is about. Hand it out. Like, that's my goal of the game. If we could expand soul juice to our team, that would rock.
Would love it. Would love it. All right, Justin, let's get into some good debate here for the Hoffman brothers. Starting 11, obviously, shout out to our partner, Hoffman Brothers, our presenting sponsor for 2024. We're now both tapping into it as a family, Justin. Your girlfriend, Danny, obviously using, and me and my wife, Maggie, obviously getting, spoiled, frankly, by the home protection plan. Still seeing all the trucks and vans, everyone out there calling on Hoffman Brothers to be their home services partner. Anything under the roof for any sort of defense against unexpected challenges. This is the offense that you want. This is the Hoffman Brothers. They're going to bring that goal threat seriously to your home and make sure that you are shored up on that defensive back line, to draw some soccer references. So shout out to Hoffman Brothers, and let's kick into the Hoffman Brothers starting 11. Curious to hear your thoughts here, Justin. We obviously no debate on the goalkeeper side, going back to Berkey. I think the back 4, I would be shocked if we didn't go back to Marcanic. He's now back from the red card suspension. I would be shocked if we didn't go back to Totland. Obviously, I think he'll come back, getting rest, obviously having played the most minutes so far for us this season. The center back duo, I'm actually tempted to go Kyle Hebert next to Parker, but I feel like Nilsson probably will end up sliding next to him.
Yeah, I saw yours on this. To be honest, Jake, I'm going back to Dewey. I'm going to go Dewey, Nilsson, Parker. Totland's an easy one, as you already mentioned. I saw this yesterday when I was looking at our stats. Obviously, Roman's got the most minutes played, 13 games started, all full 90s. Right behind him is Totland with 12 full games and 12 full 90s. Then you got Durkin, Marcanic, Joao. Marcanic, and I hate to say that we're starting to see a little bit of a struggle in the left back, but I don't know if it needs to be a consistency thing of like consistently playing, but like Marcanic hasn't been always there. And I feel like when Dewey's been on, we've had like one good game and then one bad game. And I would like to see one of them just own that spot. I would like to give Dewey a shot in this one.
I like it. And I think the only way that he gets to get that consistency is by being given chances like they've been with Marcanic. So I'm supportive of that as well. I think we go back to the 2 in front of the 4, and I think we go back to something that works, that we're comfortable with now with some fresher legs. Back to Durkin, Ostrak. Don't think we're ready for a Leuven start yet. If I thought we were, I would absolutely throw him back in here. The only thing I could see them doing potentially is maybe giving him a half and doing a play on sub like they did with Nilsson. I don't think he's there yet, though. I don't think they want to rush anything with Edu Leuven on this.
No, I think he was only allotted 20 minutes in the Cincy game. So I don't think you can go from 20 to a full 90. Like you said, I mean, from a starting lineup perspective, if they do want to do that Nilsson swap of only 45, that may be the route to go. But I think it's safe to say, not safe, but I would say my prediction as well would say that we do Durkin and Nostrock. And then moving up to the top, I think you go back to what was working, and hopefully we can create some more chances here with Celio, Indy, and Alm with Joao up top.
Yeah, Celio gone a bit cold over the last 2 games after having a great start to the season. Hopefully he can refine that. Obviously, I'm not writing off, how his form has been, but I think he can recapture this. But yeah, and then Klaus back up top. So I think a consistent 11, one that's shown us wins already this year. Prediction for us, Justin, I'm going with a 1-0, pretty nervy W. It looks like you're going for the 2-0. 2-0.
I know that I was like, I'm going to stay away, and I'll probably stay away from betting it more specifically of us scoring 2 goals. But I really do think that if we can score first, this is going to be a team that Seattle is also looking to get some points out of this game. And like, they may start to open up a little bit in the second half. And I would like for us to get one in the first half and then put one away, maybe in like the 65th or 70th, and really just then own the last 20 minutes of the game.
Well, you can't stay too far away from betting, Justin, because we do have the Grahammers. The City money line is at +120, Seattle at +200, draw at +235, over under is set at 2.5 at -120 on the over, -105 on the under. This is a tougher one, Justin. I know my thing was win, baby, and I'm still probably going to put some money on City money line, but that's not what you guys listen to us for. That's just so boring. So I am going here, and I'm kind of covering myself a little bit, is both teams to score no at +125. It's not often that you get some value for that there. And I do feel like this is a game that if we're going to win, I don't think we're going to let Seattle score. And I feel like if we're going to lose, they're not going to let us score. So I do not think it's a goal fest where we're having them flying in both directions. So that's why I go with that one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that because I do think it's going to be a lower scoring game. However, I'm doing a little bit of a positivity spin on that, and I think we're going to score a goal and they're not, which instead of having us bet on like 1 goal at -500 or 1.5, the over 1.5 at like +125, I think it's at. I'm taking us to get a clean sheet against this team at +225. I don't think Seattle scores in this game. Both of our predictions read that as well, and I do think it'll be a good bet for us.
I love it. Well, that brings us to a wrap on the preview ahead of the Seattle Sounders as they come to City Park on Saturday night. Hopefully the weather pans out. I thought I saw some rain in the forecast for it, but it looks like it might have cleared up. Justin, our meteorologist, we go live to Justin Graham.
It's going to be a high of 81 with a low of 61 and completely sunny on a Saturday afternoon on your Memorial Day weekend. If you're not going to the pitch, what are you doing? Sit outside, sit inside. The doors will be open. Place will be flowing with frozen Irish coffees on a little bit of a warmer day in St. Louis. Get there.
Oh, wonderful delivery there, meteorologist Justin Graham. And that will wrap us out on the show, on the preview. Hopefully you all enjoy this match. I know that we will, and I'm hoping that we come out with 3 points because we desperately need them, especially at home. So let's go City, and everyone have a great rest of the week. And heading into the weekend, we'll be back for a recap on Sunday of the match. And that's all I got, folks. All for City.